Yes, indeed. Okay, I'm ready. No, thank you. Hey, what's going on, family? Willie Mo Jr. here. I pray that I'm in frame. If this thing look half crazy, it's because I got my family helping me out. Just a very, very quick smile because I wanted to smile. I told you that I would kind of speak today, talk to you. You know, I'm gonna give people a little time to get involved. In fact, I'm gonna turn this thing around just so can see some of the questions if there are any real quick. I'm gonna give you some time to get on here. All right, let's clean that up. Hey, Karen, what's going on, Karen? Hey, Kai Young, what's happening? All right, so we're going to get to it because I don't want this to be long. But I promise you that I would talk this morning. I just think it's so amazing that people across the country that have been tweeting and Instagramming and Facebook saying, Willie Moore Jr., what do you have to say about the situation? I'm going to keep it 100 with you, family. Like, I'm extremely slow to speak. I had to go work out first and just really kind of blow off some steam because I'm a believer, but I'm from the neighborhood too. And so, you know, I'm no stranger to what happens in the neighborhood. My diploma reads Ferguson Florissant School District. And so while we were going through the Mike Brown tragedy and healing from that, you know, I went through an array of emotions. But what I did do, and I want you to take notes on this, because 3 things we're going to cover before we leave here. Number 1, we're going to talk to believers because that's who I'm called to. I'm called to speak to believers and make sure that they understand their duty in the earth. Number 2, we're going to speak to like what this thing looks like when it comes to injustice and make sure that we're not just doing something and in 2 weeks we put it down. And then number 3, I'm going to give you a few things that are going to encourage you to really to get some systemic change going on throughout this country. So number 1, I just remember coming to Berkeley. I'm in the Ferguson area. It took me 10 days to get back to St. Louis because I was just so mad. And when I get mad, being from the neighborhood, I would hook up with some people and probably react on my anger. But because I'm a believer, like the one thing that we have to do is learn to take time. So it took me about 7 to 10 days to really come back to St. Louis. And when I got there, I didn't go down on West Florissant and start marching because I didn't feel like that was my call. True leaders stay true to the people they call to. So I ended up going to the school system and talking to Mr. Bills. And, you know, in 4 or 5 days, law enforcement gave us the okay so we can make sure that our children were back in school because my job was to talk to the youth. But I took time to find out what my duty was because it bothered me. So if something bothers you, you got to make sure that you just don't get on a rant on Facebook or Instagram and do something that would deter somebody's walk. Whether you know it or not, whether it's 1 person or 1 million, people are watching you to see what your response is. It's important that we don't just react, but we respond. So many times we take on so much information through social media, through CNN, and what it does is just shifts your opinion. And a double-minded man is unstable in all he does. So either you're going to believe what God says when he said, blessed are the peacemakers, or you're just going to go on a rant like everybody else. But the way you do that is you protect your eyes because the eyes are the lamp of the body. Watch what you watch. Watch the opinions that are continuously coming into you because you got to be intelligent in this moment of your life. When people are showing their ignorance, you got to show who God truly is. And so I'm looking at the injustice and I see people, we're going to march, we're going to protest. And I had a great conversation with Reverend Jesse Jackson this week, dear friend, a brother who I would say, you know, many people talk about Jesse Jackson, but I sat with a lot of leaders in Ferguson when I was there, some whom I won't mention because I don't want to put them on blast because I respect what they do. They just nervous and scared, okay? Reverend Jesse Jackson, he's the only one that came to ground zero where Mike Brown was killed because we were advised not to go in the neighborhood. And so I respect Reverend Jesse Jackson because he stood side by side by me when we were there in Ferguson. And so I had a really great talk with him and I let him know how I felt about all the marching and the protests because I feel like that's a really good band-aid to put on a really, really tough situation. And so he said, well, how can you all be mad at marching when you never marched before? I was like, you know, it's a good assembly and it feels good, but this is something that has to be systemically changed. The system has to change. You know, back in, you know, it may be 30s or 20s, I'm not sure if I'm accurate on my years, but police officers were trained. This training was going on a long time ago. And so they're trying to adhere danger. In fact, a lot of my brothers, they are police officers. And when I'm rocking with them, they always got this crazy eye going on, looking at everything like, oh, is that danger? Is that danger? Because they're trying to see danger because they're trying to protect and serve. The only thing is, back when those laws were made, hip hop culture wasn't around. people wasn't really wearing their dreadlocks. We wasn't as bold as we are now with our culture. We talk big. We talk big. And believe it or not, that didn't scare you. But if it was a person who didn't grow up in African-American culture, me doing all this, this means I'm confrontational. But I just talk with my hands because I grew up on LL Cool J, right? And so because of that, I talk big and I walk big, but yet the system doesn't change to adhere that this is not danger. This is just the way I talk. And so that's a system that has to be changed on a local level. It has to be changed in government, of course, but that's something that you have to do. When you're riding through the hood and you see these people saying, John somebody for sheriff, you got to know that this is your time to vote so you can get a personal relationship with them. So when you're pulled over and you're wrongly accused of anything, you don't have to go through all the tricks and the trade as long as you're not killed. You're going to go talk to the sheriff who you voted for because now you have a personal relationship. I'm from the hood. I already know that we don't really rock with politics because we don't think that works for us. I'm not telling you to rock with politics. I'm just asking you to know who the chief of police is. I'm asking you to know who your mayor is. I'm asking you to know who the people in your local government are so you can go out there and you can talk to them about some systemic change. And I want to put this in the earth because I know that I'm talking to you. As I was praying, God told me, he said, calm my people because I'm still here. And then he gave me a direction for somebody because I know it's not me. There is a retired police officer. There's somebody who's been in law enforcement for years. And you've seen what the problem is because you've been right next to little Billy who grew up in a suburban country. And you've been like, bro, don't be scared. He ain't doing but clapping his hands. But you've seen the problem. But instead of just putting together the program, there's a program that God wants to put in the earth from a police officer who's trained. And I keep seeing the number 29. Maybe you were there for 29 years and you're an older person, but you understand African American culture. And what you're supposed to do, you are supposed to put together a program that is going to teach people who are from suburban America how to deal in urban areas and adhere to these actions and teach them that this is not danger. There's a program that's coming out of the earth from a believer who's going to go out there and you're going to make millions of dollars too. Send me a little offering when you get that money. Come on, somebody. But you're going to make millions of dollars. The government is going to fund this thing and you're going to go out there and teach other police officers. I don't know. It may not be 29 years. Don't take that. But I just see 29. I don't know what that means. But I do know that you're supposed to put together the program and people across this country are going to follow your program and you're going to invoke change inside of the system, right? And so let's get back to the hood. So that's for you. That's what my little, I would call it prophetic word, if you would. But I did see that in my prayer time. What I also see happening is that people don't really understand what's going on. So I want to put the shoe on the other foot. Shout out to Phil, shout out to Alton, and even all the people who are protesting and showing love. I think that's a really great way to do things. I just don't think it's really going to change the system at all. So the system has to be changed. So this is what we're going to do as a people, just keeping it 100 with you. And you're not going to like this part. And as you see, I'm looking down because I don't want to look at you. So the system is going to take time to change. You see gun laws ain't changed. You've seen how long it took for black people to get their right to vote. So because the system ain't going to change, it's important that we change, right? We got to learn that this is aggressive to them. And I know you say, well, that's just how we talk. But when we're dealing with them, we have to walk in integrity. I seen something on Instagram with a little dude. He had to be about 17 years old, and he just had the camera like this. And so these are the police officers. So he got the police officers, and he's like, man, F y'all. And these are 4 police officers who were just standing there. And I knew that wasn't the way. And then, rest in peace to the officers in Dallas. But, me being an African-American male, like, I do pray for those families of the police officers who were killed. And I'm sending my condolences because all wrong is wrong. However, we will not be distracted. And I say that a little apologetically, but I know that sometimes that's the distraction so we can get off of the right thing. And not saying that that's the wrong thing, but we gotta stay focused on the problem at hand. All lives matter. That's the truth. But we gotta understand all lives matter once we understand Black lives matter too, and Hispanic lives matter too. So I pray for the families of the people in Dallas, But I don't want us to be so distracted that we're not reading between the lines and knowing that everything is going to deter our attention from the problem at hand. I know I'll probably get beat up for that, but that's just the way I feel, and I got to keep it 100 with you. Last thing, I want you guys to pray, right? And I know sometimes when we say pray, it's almost like a bad word now because people don't want to pray, they want to take action. But I don't want you to take an action that's unpleasing to God. God has a way and a strategy to make this thing right. He does. And so we can't go out there and play God. And we can't go in hate. We got to go in love. This is a battle that we cannot win if we don't go in love and if we don't go out there and do what God has called us to do. Read your books, get into that word, and go out there with a different point of view. Third thing, I always like to make this thing made plain to you, and this is to my police officer brothers, man. I love y'all to life. I got so many friends who are police officers. I'm praying for you, man. You have a really, really tough job. But what I want you to do is if you see people in your precinct who wear that badge of honor and you know they ain't right, you got to say something. You got to speak up. You can't worry about your paycheck and all that. I got people who were on my team that I had to let go because I understood that they weren't with the mission of Christ. I couldn't take you on the road if you weren't believing like I was believing. And it is what it is. But I had to do that as a person because I wear the badge of honor as a Christian. And so you got to take responsibility for your brother. All right? And so I'm challenging you right now to do that. All right? So I got to keep it funny because I try to make you happy. But so when I first moved to my house that I'm in right now, because I was living in a little apartment, I found this beautiful home. I was like, man, God, please bless me with this home. The first thing that I seen after I got out this beautiful home, my next door neighbor had the biggest pit bull I ever seen in my life. Do you hear me? This pit bull was so big. Guess who was nervous? Me. Because everything I ever seen about a pit bull was that he will kill you, gnaw on your arm, and hurt you. Do you hear me? I told my wife, I said, boo, I love the house, but it's a pit bull over there, and I'm nervous. Flat out. She said, we ain't going to worry about that pit bull. Later on, I got a chance to know that pit bull. And I realized that most pit bulls, they're trained to be vicious. They're not just naturally vicious. But all I ever seen in media about a pit bull was that they were vicious. And so even today, as I know that my next door neighbor, his pit bull is one of the nicest dogs ever. But he big and he looked like them dogs that I seen on TV that kill people. So whenever he's around, my 1-year-old son, my 7-year-old son, my 13-year-old, my beautiful wife, like I'm cool with him, but I'm always watching to make sure that he doesn't become what I seen on television. But his owner, who lives with him, who got to know him and loves him to life, he understands his temperament because he's had a chance to train with that dog, and he understands that that dog is not vicious. And even when he gets a little bit, he stops it. Am I calling my people a dog? Nope, I'm a black man with a bald head, so of course I'm not doing that. But I am saying this. Until you get a chance to know a pit bull, you will never know how great this dog is. What I'm telling you is that we've been put in the media as dogs and gangsters, but all of us ain't like that. I wear my ball cap on purpose, even when I preach, to show people across America that this is what the new man of God look like, and this is what you don't have to kill. I got 3 boys, family, and to see what's going on in this earth, it bothers me. So we have to change the narrative of what we look like. Don't post stuff that's gonna make us look crazy. As I travel internationally, everybody try to be hip around me just because I got a ball cap on, because even hip hop over there, people want to be so hip. I'm like, nah, man, I'm a man of God and I'm intelligent. I went to school. I went to the University of Mississippi. I handle my business. And so I want to change what our narrative looks like. I'm even challenging hip hop, but I do that to the people I know. I ain't finna get out here and just blast hip hop because I'm part of the culture, but I am texting the guys that I know, like, hey bro, we gotta clean up our act. We gotta clean up the soundtrack of life that we putting in the earth. So I've been challenging people, behind the scenes, and I'll be working with a few other great people to help systemic change. Man, I pray to help you that's kind of my take on everything, and that's probably it for me. Cause I ain't finna sit up here and cry, cause I'm way too tough for that. No, I'm just joking. All right. So I'll answer a few questions, and then I got to get out of here because my beautiful wife is calling me. All right. All right. Knowledge flat out 100. All right. I appreciate your words. Keep challenging. All right. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. You know, last thing, and I want you to always consider this. And I, you know, I work in pictures, and this is just what I see in my head. So you have, and I'm not making this a white or black thing, but let's just say we have a suburban cop who never been to the hood. He's never been to the hood, and on his first day of work, he goes in, and the first thing that he sees is a 17-year-old African-American male who's been shot down by an AK-47. All right, the AK-47 bullet is this big. Because my friend used to have one, and we used to ride around with it, right? It's like, I'm no stranger to the neighborhood. I really want you to do that. I ain't even joking with you. We used to ride in his little Regal, and he have an AK-47. I don't even know why I was cool with that, but that's a whole other story. Here is an AK-47 bullet. He goes there, and he sees a 17-year-old kid, African-American male, ripped to shreds. This ain't training no more. This isn't training anymore. This real life. This the real thing. And on his first day, coming from suburban America, working in an urban area, this is what he sees. And when they tell him the person that they looking for, he looks like you and I. He still has that image in his head. And there's no representing. There's no repositioning of his mind, because he sees this every other night in this urban area. Hours and hours pass, and his fear just continues to escalate. But there's nobody there to speak to his heart. He's not a believer. The only person that there is to speak to his heart is his fellow police officer, and he tell him, man, it's always like this. That's always what they do. And this might even be an African-American male, but this is a suburban guy. But he sees this night after night, and the culprit continues to look like you and I. So when he finally meets you, even though you're an educated man, even though you smart, you grew up on hip-hop, and you talk big just like me, when your hands go down, he sees 50 different images of what he's seen for the last year. You become that culprit, and you get shot and you get hurt. Does that make that right? No. Does these horrific visions that he have in his head, does that make that right? No. But that's the fear that he has every single day. And that's why I think it's so important that you, whoever you are, because that's not my duty. That's not my call. I could get involved. I could help you. But when you come up with that system to bring in every 30 days or every 15 days, whatever the Lord puts in your heart, to come in and change the image in their head so they cannot be fearful, I believe great things are going to happen in this nation. It's going to take a while for the system to change. And I don't know about you, but I'm teaching my boys to conform to the system, to de-escalate their fear. Put your arms out like this. Start talking a little different. And I know that's sad, but that's the truth. I got to teach them how to work into a system, work in this system until it changes. And I'm teaching them to do the right thing. And don't get big, because they don't understand hip-hop culture. All right? I'm at is this 18? Wow, I've been running my mouth for a minute. All right? Anybody else? Because I said I would devote 20 minutes to this. I believe the President Obama should have a summit calling church leaders. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you for all you do and made a huge difference in me and my family's life. God bless you. We got babies in here. Who is that? I'm sorry. That's the world we live in. All right. I needed this today because my mental state was all over the place. Yeah, stop taking in all that information, guys. Like, it's too much information. It's only going to make you mad. Don't let this overload, because you'll be just like the police officers. You'll start seeing so much hate that, you know, even when you go to work, you'll start looking at people of other ethnicities, and you'll start looking at them. Are you one of them too? Like, no, like, I'm not going to take in the hate, because I understand that God is still on the throne. Another thing, somebody asked me just real quick, because I got 30 seconds. A fool gonna ask me, and I'm sorry, I can't be politically correct. He said, where you got it now, Willie Mo? Where you got it now? Like, I can just feel him trying to be, you know, tough towards me. And I smiled. And I said, God is in the same place he was when his son died. On the throne. Flat out. So if you wonder where God is in this situation, he's in the same place he was when his son died. Watch what he does. All right? God bless you. Proud of you.